Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sales Intel's show, The Pipeline Pioneers, where our goal is to help the community learn from the practitioners, from the experts, from the leaders as to how to generate the most optimal pipeline. Because as we know, pipeline is the heart and blood of any company. And we at Sales Intel believe that generating pipeline is a team sport. It's not just the responsibility of a BDR team or the sales team or marketing team. It truly takes the village to come together to build a pipeline that converts to revenue. Today, I am excited to have Chelsea Castle from Lavender. Chelsea, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you. To kick things off, Chelsea, tell the audience about yourself and Lavender and how, in your capacity, do you impact Lavender's pipeline?
Absolutely. So I am the senior content manager, or wow, I even got my title wrong right off the bat. I senior director of brand and content. So I, within tech, have always been a content marketer. So at Lavender, while I am in charge of a lot of different areas across marketing, I'm primarily focused on brand and content. And content traditionally, as we all know, tends to be a role that isn't always closest to revenue, at least not in a direct correlation. It's a function that's historically had to fight a little harder to show pipeline impact and influence. But to me, content supports the entire ecosystem of an organization. So marketing is content to me. It's a function that doesn't always have one clear line to pipeline, but it influences every metric, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Chelsea, last year was tough. Lots of companies missed their revenue targets. Companies just did not have enough pipeline, and the pipeline that was there just didn't convert. Um, and the macroeconomic headwinds that we all faced, it was just a not good year. So, what was the learning? Hindsight is 2020. When you look back at 2023, is there something that comes to mind to say, what, I wish I'd done things differently?
Yeah, only one issue. I can only choose one. Just kidding.
You can choose
Because to
two.
your
The community
point,
is going to
yeah.
learn, right?
Yeah, no, and I joke because like to your point, yeah, it was a really hard year for sales and marketers and in the market in general. Um, Attribution is always the first thing that kind of comes to mind. I don't know if that will ever be solved. So attribution aside, because I think that's never perfect, something that everyone struggles with. For us at Lavender, the majority of our business is driven by inbound. So mainly marketing led. For such an early stage startup, we've had a pretty big and strong, at least a fairly decent, brand presence within our niche. So what we really struggled with last year that impacted pipeline was we were starting to realize that people knew us, which is great. That's very hard, especially starting out as a company. We would go to an event, people would either know me or know I worked at Lavender because I was wearing lavender or knew what lavender was. What we were starting to hear was, I know who you are, but I don't know what you do. And that never feels good. It's nice to be known, but we want people to know what we actually do and the product that we offer and the problem that we solve. So that was probably the biggest challenge last year. How we started to solve that, and honestly are still working to continue to solve and elevate within our marketing team and functions, is we learned that not only do we have to increase product marketing efforts and what that looked like in a traditional sense from messaging, positioning across the team, and creating product videos, increasing product copy on the website, product pages, new website. We realized that we also had to find a way to solve this problem in a way that was true to the Lavender brand and our unique style of marketing. So we did that by, and honestly, we're still doing that, so I don't think most problems are solved overnight, but we're still doing that by making the product a character in our content. So what that means is the product is there in videos as if it's a character in the show. So it's not the focal point. It's not the core focus. We're not pushing the product, but you can see the functionality. You can see the value, and it's not in like a pushy or sales way. So that was probably like the biggest challenge of last year and how we solved it, but are still working to solve.
Yeah, that's great. So, many companies struggle to get the brand in front or brand memorable. At least you got the brand. You just have to connect what is the product, how does the product and brand come together? Very cool. So 2024 is here, new year, new budgets, new initiatives. When you look at your 2024 initiatives, is there something that you're most excited about? Say, this is a new experiment. This is something that I haven't done before, outside my comfort zone, and I'm going to go for it. And what is that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. I would say the all of the messaging, positioning, product marketing work I was just mentioning as like a holdover challenge from last year is something we're putting an even bigger focus in this year. How can we elevate what that looks like when the product is a character in a show? Like, what is the next level of that? As well as creating and refining some of our messaging across the team, which I think is a challenge that a lot of people can probably relate to, ensuring that everyone in a company is singing the same tune. So we're trying to find some creative ways internally with trainings, interactive trainings, games, and incentivization to do that. So I'm really excited to kind of take all of that to a new level. Secondly, I think we're also upping our events game this year.
Mhm.
I can't give out teasers. We're just kind of ideating right now. In the past, Lavender has been known for some of its events at SaaStr, and Dreamforce last year as well. So at least tentatively right now, we're kind of like raising the bar there, doing some more creative activations, at least some very forward thinking ideas that we have in motion, and kind of like maturing or kind of leveling up from what we did last year with events. So I'm very excited to see how that goes.
That's great. That's great. I'm hearing that a lot. A lot of marketeers, a lot of demand gen folks, a lot of go-to-market professionals are doubling down on events. So I think you're thinking along the right line. So let's switch the gears. I'm gonna share my screen with you, and we will play a little interactive game here. All right. So here you have 100 pennies. So you have 100 pennies here, and your goal is to invest these 100 pennies across all these growth channels in a way that will generate the most optimal pipeline for Lavender.
This is cute. I didn't know this was gonna be a cute little board game. So I've been thinking about this a lot. I guess I would kind of put, okay, so now I got to think about this. How, so I'm curious, I know how I would define this term, but I'm curious, how are you defining customer-led growth?
Where your customers are your evangelists, where customers are referring you to other customers.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have to put, let's see, brand-led growth. I'm pausing because I think a traditional sense, right, from a marketing perspective is you want to spread your pennies across everything. Let's do all of the things, or at least do a little more, like let's do everything and we'll do more customer-led growth and brand-led growth and a little bit of everything else. I would say I would evenly split my pennies. So let's say if each of those little cute icons is 10 pennies, I would say
Yep.
I would put 4 pennies in customer-led growth.
I love it. I love your focus on the customers. Right. That's
I would
4 pennies.
put, yeah, I would put 3 in brand-led growth.
3 in brand led. You guys have done a phenomenal job in getting your brand in front of the customers and the prospects.
Thank you. And then I would put the rest in other in what I think of as customer research.
Customer research. You know what? This is fantastic. This is fantastic. So I am going to put, and then this is very unique. Let's just double click on this. Break it down for me. What is customer research? Because I have been talking to lots of B2B professionals and marketers and demand gen experts. I haven't heard this. So break it down for our audience as to what falls under customer research.
Yeah. So I guess it could be like a big umbrella. To me, sales and marketing often feels like a wild blind hunt for answers, right? What do we say? How do we say it? How do we evolve it this quarter based on the market? Do we have like the right product market fit? And how does the messaging adjust to that? How do we talk about the product in this right way? How do you translate all of that into a cold email or an ad? And I think we're like, to me, our jobs are so much like a quest for answers. What's the right answer? What's going to get me this result? And I think the only people who know any of those answers are our buyers and our customers. A lot of people are like, oh, yeah, talk to customers more, talk to customers more. But how do you make time for that? How do you do it in a way that makes sense? What are the best questions to ask? How do you organize all of that data? how do you take advantage of CS teams who are already talking to customers and sales teams who are talking to buyers? Like, how do you, I don't think there's a good solution. I actually think there needs to be a better tool for aggregating all of this data and also aggregating all of that data in a way that enables you to directly draw insights out of it and have that research be an ongoing part. Recently, I was part of another content program where we were brainstorming a function. So almost like if the SDR is a great entry point into an organization, what if that role were to evolve into a research focused role so that you're really deeply understanding the market and your ICP and buyers and customers and what moves them and the problem that you solve? And that to me, I think is where a lot of people struggle the most. And they are the people who have the answers. So I think investing, I almost went into this thinking I would put all of my pennies into that. And then I saw your board and wanted to make some adjustments. But that to me is like your foundation. Like you've got your foundation of brand, strategic narrative, and then your customer research. And then all of your nuggets in customer research tell you what your product marketing should look like in your content marketing and your demand gen programs and your templates and your cadences and your sequences and all of those things.
That is
So
great.
that is like, yeah, how I think about customer research.
Very cool. Very cool. Now let's take at the results here. This is the chart that shows you how the community as a whole um, is investing their pennies, right? This is a couple hundred go-to-market professionals. This is how they're investing their pennies across different channels. And I am going to overlay your responses on top of the chart, right? When you look at this chart, it stands out, right? Chelsea's responses versus the rest of the community, they stand out, right? What are the key things that you see here, and why are you so bullish in certain areas that the market is not?
Yeah, that's so interesting. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna need to screenshot that. So to me, I think at this point we all know that the majority of people are not buying, always in a buying phase, right? People, it's like the stat of 5% of people are actually in market. People are either in buying mode or they're not. I think where we're struggling or where I'm really bullish on the year is an organic growth. That's kind of why I selected customer-led growth and founder-led growth, hearing from people. People don't just buy from people, they buy from people they trust. I think there's a couple psychological things happening there. There's like the bandwagon effect. When other people were buying it, talking about it, into it, you're more likely to do the same. But then there's also this element of trust where I think there's some good stats around this where trusted companies outperform their peers by 400%. 88% of customers trust a brand, or sorry, 88% of customers who trust a brand are more likely to buy from them again. Yet only 12% of buyers in some recent studies show that they trust software companies as a trusted source of information. 12%.
12%.
Yet we know that companies who have public trust outperform others. So I think that's where, yeah, my investment is, and where I'm really bullish is really focusing on how sales and marketing teams can rethink how they build trust with their community. And a lot of that has to be through a combination of demand gen and organic. And yeah, that building that trust is really going to kind of like change the game, I think, for companies this year, that we really need to focus on building trust with our customers and buyers.
This is very, very unique, very interesting. I couldn't agree more with you because, if you don't have trusted relationship, you can't transact. You can't initiate the commerce between the two parties. So thank you so much, Chelsea. I really appreciate you coming on the show. I'm sure our community is going to appreciate and learn a lot from what we just shared with us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.